Yeah. This is a true story. My name is Randy Tyree, R.E.Tyree, and this is a registered song here, PAU 4125-557. But this is the true story about the song My Mama's Old Guitar. And this is my friend here, Tim Bond, on my left, my guitar man. On my right is my old buddy Ike Lovin, and they're from Stillville. I'm from Spring Bluff, Missouri. We're all from Missouri. Well, anyway, the story is that my mother grew up listening to Mother Maybelle Carter and listening to those old records and Hank Williams and those guys way back when. Well, anyway, she would play the old guitar in church and for her own amusement. And my dad would play a French harp or just sing along with her. And anyway, they got older. Well, my dad passed away when I was very young. But my mother stayed on the farm with me for several more years. And then she developed arthritis in her fingers. She got older and she couldn't play the guitar anymore. And so she passed it on to me. And she said, I want you to please learn to play this guitar and do something with your life. Be more than just a factory worker like I am, you know. And she had, both my parents, you know, they grew up during the Depression. And they had hard lives. They worked hard. As children, they had to go to work. Well, anyway, time went on, and she moved into town, into Sullivan, and lived in a little apartment, and I would stop by and see her from time to time. Well, I never thought a whole lot about the old guitar, and then one day a friend of mine came by, and he had a deer rifle, and I admired his old deer rifle. Whoops, got it kind of tangled up here. And he offered me the deer rifle for the old guitar. And like a foolish person, I made a trade with him, which would come back to haunt me, believe me. As my mother got older, she lived to be 83, but as she got older, she would ask me about the old guitar. And I couldn't tell her that I had traded the old guitar for a deer rifle. So anyway, she passed in 2002, and as the years went by, I was kind of haunted by this, and I thought, you know, I want to go to heaven one day and see my mother and my dad, and I don't know if they're going to let me in or not. Well, I lied to my mother. I said that I'd bring it back to town, you know, I'd bring it back with me when I come to town, and I didn't have it. I traded it off. I couldn't find it anymore. I couldn't even remember the old boy that I got it from. So anyway, this is a tribute to my mother and her old guitar. It's called Mama's Old Guitar. I know that I'd really be lying if I told you that I haven't been crying when I think about my mama's old guitar. She loved to play that good old gospel music, and Daddy would keep time and sing along. Amazing Grace, and Jesus Hold My Hand. I'm sure she has a seat up there in heaven, still playing in God's glorious holy band. I'm not quite sure just where my mama bought it, and I'm not for sure just when it came along, but I am quite sure I heard my mama play it before Elvis and the Beatles came along. I know my mama dreamed about a Martin. A D28 was what she craved. But all she could afford was a Silvertone, the oldest one that they ever made. Mama grew up poor and lived across the tracks, and all she ever knew was hard work that nearly broke her back. From long days and heartaches, she grew tired and old, but of the pain and grief she never told. Then one day she promised to give that old guitar to me to keep forevermore. She wanted very much for me to play it. Her fingers had grown tired and very worn. I promised I would keep and play it often, in her memory, at least till eternity. Then something very bad really happened. I hate to tell you, but I guess I will. It seemed at the time a bit trifle, but what I really wanted was my friend's deer rifle. When Mom got old, she wanted very much just to hold it. She'd plead, "Bring it back to me when you come to town." I just couldn't let her know that her old guitar was no longer around. Now sometimes late at night when I'm all alone, I think I hear my mama playing Rock of Ages on that old sweet silver tone. Thank you, fellas.